Okay, I've been watching the coronavirus now since it started, and I was concerned way back when China got this thing. I've gathered as much information as I can, and this here is some of the plans that have been used to explain how to deal with the virus. But first, I want to go over the numbers with you. This here is a chart that I've compiled over the last week, starting on the 6th and today being the 13th. It does not list the number of cases or the deaths, but it's another statistical figure I want to take a look at here in detail. On 3/6, we had 95 countries total with the coronavirus. Now, on the 13th, we have 137. And you can see these plus numbers are how many more countries reported each day. And this here is just a little running plus 1 day, plus 2 days, plus 3 days, plus 4 days. This is not so useful until you start using the other statistics. The next statistic, I call them the clubs, the 10 club, the 100 club, the 1K. This is a logarithmic scale. Every one of these lines is another zero. So anybody who's got 10 cases or less, 9 cases or less, is going to fall into these numbers. And you'll see on the 6th we had 46 countries with 9 cases or less. And today we have 54 countries with 9 cases or less. Now where it starts to get interesting is when you start to move these numbers forward. If you look, I've drawn lines for the doubling time. On the 6th, we had 3 countries with under 10,000 cases. But by the 9th, we doubled. And by the 12th, we're staying the same. But here's the weird thing. We go to 6, but then we go back to 5. Then we go to 6, and then we go back to 5. And what's happening here is you're looking at the 100K. Now this is where China would be here. And you'll see China, under 100,000 but over 10,000 cases. But then we add the second country, and this jumps back to 5. So we have 6, we have 5, we have 6, then we add 1. Then we have 5, then we have 6, then we add 1. So this is starting to look like a pattern that every time we get to 6, we'll go back to 5 and add another country. I don't know if this is going to be a pattern or not. And again, these numbers are going to go to here, these numbers are going to go to here. So they're transposing in a line like this. I haven't graphed this out, but I want to point this out. It gives you an idea of, what we're looking at. Now, this I put down as the world population. I don't know how accurate it is, but at the time I wrote this, we had China, Italy, and Iran in the 100K club. I call it 100K club. And the total world population there is about 19% that's in there. So those are the figures. Now, the reason I'm making this video is I want to try to help governments to come up with plans for attack. And I live in a very small town. It's about 500 people, and I'm thinking, there's 2 hotels in the town, and each hotel can probably hold 100 to 200 people. And if you've got a population, and you can put 20% of your population into a hotel for quarantine, this is a much better idea than to send them into the hospital. Especially if they're mild cases, you can say, okay, look, you're quarantined, go to the hotel. You're not exposing them to the family members. You're not exposing them to the elderly. You're not exposing them to, anything that, can cause somebody else to have a severe case. So this is one thing. What I would recommend, if the government can, is to find locations like hotels or places of business that are not going to be used during this outbreak, and use those. And pay this. You can give some kind of income to the location to help. It also helps with the economy, helps with the location. And if your doctors get sick but they're still able to work, they just have the virus, you can put them in these locations too, and you have doctors there as well. But if they're obviously very, very, very sick, then you're going to need more. But you could have maybe two, maybe three of these hotels, two for mild cases and one for severe cases. And this way you can keep your doctors and your healthcare system working without flooding the hospitals. Another plan of attack is to, if you, like for example, I live next to a bigger city, so if we had 20% of the beds in hotels, which we have more hotels than that, we'd easily be able to take care of our citizens here in the town. But if we did 30 to 35% beds in the plan, we could also take a few cases from the neighboring city. And if all the towns and cities made a plan and figured out, okay, where are we at? Are we at number one? Are we in the 10 club, the 100 club, the 100K club? What can we do to figure this out? How many beds do we need? Do we need to get masks? Do we need to get oxygen? Things like that. And start coming up with a plan for these beds, because these beds are going to be needed. Now, this is an exponential curve here, which means that every day you're going to see it go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. It's counting just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it does it on a exponent. So if you have one thing and it doubles every day, it goes to 2, then it goes to 4, then it goes to 8. Now the time period for this is about, I'm guessing, a little less than a week, maybe 3 to 4 days. So if you have 40,000 cases today, you'll have 80,000 cases in 3 days. If you have 80,000 cases in another 3 days, you might have 160,000. And now that's without any kind of medical intervention. Obviously, if you've got all your people staying home and nobody's going out, you're not going to get another 40,000 cases in 3 days. Maybe you'll knock that down to 36,000 or 35,000. But then it'll slowly start to deteriorate like we've seen in China. And you'll see the curve start to level off. Now, in China, you can see that they've peaked, but now they're going to have the problem with the rest of the population of the world. As they come back into China, one person here, one person there, they're going to start having little cases again, which is better if you're having cases than clusters. Clusters are bad, because if you find 30 people in one town or one church or one anything. Now here's a great example of a logarithmic line right here, or a exponential curve. You'll see it crosses this line, and it crosses the next line, and now it's going up, and it's going to go a little higher. Every day it goes a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. But you can see here, this has got logarithmic, which is it's kind of hit the curve. It hasn't peaked, but you've made it go like this. Now it might still go like this, but it's not going like this. And this is easier to deal with, and this is what we want. And if you have all the people together in one space, and you're putting them with non-sick people, you're going to get more cases. So it's just an idea. Try to come up with a plan to put the sick people together in a place where they can be taken care of, and if they're mild, they don't need as much medical supervision, and take your more dire cases that need doctors and put them in a position where you can take care of those people. But this is just one idea. Thank you for listening.